Can you hear me okay?
Hey, Ken.
Hey, Ken.
In preparation for this call, I realized like me and Ken didn't really hang out. Like, you didn't meet up in Denver.
How would that happen, Cheyenne? I was thinking about that
I was
too.
just preparing this. I was like, wait a minute. How did I guess Shapeshift was our goal, Cherry Party was our goal, but that kind of didn't happen for us. So
yeah,
Can you hear me okay?
crazy.
hey, Ken.
Hey, Ken.
In
Josh?
preparation. Oh, was that on YouTube live?
Yeah, yes, it was. Apparently we're live, so cool.
Did it auto live? Sorry.
That's okay.
No worries.
Oh, maybe I auto live.
Then I'll go live. Now we're live on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube.
All right, cool. Well, you were talking about EthDenver, and that's what we're talking about. So it was on topic.
Yeah. So it's interesting that even this whole small team, we want to meet up, and then weather didn't let us actually meet up. We had like a lot of snow in Denver, which to me was surprised. Like I wasn't expecting that much snow in Denver because coming from Montreal, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go out to the beach. But then that didn't happen.
Denver's weather is odd.
You know, there's a saying in Denver: if you don't like the weather, just wait 10 minutes. Like for example, it was probably like sub-zero, you know, a few days ago, and then it's supposed to be, I think even like yesterday, it was close to 70. It changes very abruptly.
For the Celsius fans, that's it's been about, yeah.
I don't know what that is in Celsius.
No idea.
It's been a range of about -15 to +20 Celsius. So
thank you for translating, Josh.
A nice sunny day out around here. That's what I'm here for. Yeah, EthDenver had like, I heard 20,000 people registered for it, which is absolutely insane, considering, you know, the events aggregate hold maybe 3,000 people.
I think, didn't they say like 8,000? I feel like I saw an email or something. It was like 8,000 or 8,500 people. I don't know if it was redeemed, like, I guess must have shown up and gotten their badges, right?
Yeah, we had about 8,500 to 10,000 is the number I heard through the doors. Of course, that was all the various venues, but holy crap, it's really scaling.
Yeah. Why don't we back up and do like a what is EthDenver? How did it start? And like, how do we get here for anybody who's watching or listening that has not been to EthDenver, maybe doesn't know exactly what we're talking about. Kent, if you don't, I can go in, but you might be the best person since didn't you help found EthDenver?
Yeah, so I started the ETH community here in Denver in 2014, and you know, it was kind of just a small grassroots group for a while, and then started to get bigger, especially with the kind of the first ICO bubble, 2016, 2017, and then a guy named John Pollard came along, and you know, this is when the community was pretty thriving. We had like, you know, 100 or 150 people showing up to every meetup, and he said, "Hey guys, we should do a hackathon." And we had always kind of thought, well, maybe we could do some kind of hackathon thing, but kind of like a smaller regional deal. But he was quite ambitious. He's like, you know, we should just go big, make it a big global thing, kind of inspired by, you know, ETH Waterloo and DevCon type of thing. And lo and behold, it worked out really well. Even at the very first year, fast forward, you know, 5 years, we've done it 5 times, including last year was, of course, all remote. And yeah, so we, you know, we kind of got together, some of us in the what was that, 2018, and threw this together, and then it's just grown exponentially. And the interesting thing is, I think it kind of the growth of the hackathon mirrors like the deeper mainstream adoption. That's one thing I guess we can get into that later, but like it was really interesting to see more people who are new to crypto, but just seem to get it, and it's culturally a good fit and a lot of enthusiasm. So it's been a fun journey so far.
It really has grown. We were sponsors 2 years ago in person, and the difference between this year and 2 years ago was just unbelievable. Like in a good way. It's just, there's so many more people, there's so much more happening. There was definitely a lot going on. So it's cool to see how much I think it's a reflection of how much the space has grown.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we tried to, I mean, we had some videos leading up to EthDenver, just to help people be, you know, less overwhelmed going into it, have a bit more maybe a bit more base knowledge going into EthDenver. We tried to, help people out with that. That said, I found myself quite overwhelmed at EthDenver. So I'm not sure if our prep really managed to help people or not, or if it was just going to be overwhelming regardless of how astute you studied going into that event. Because wow, there was a lot going on.
There was. Do you guys feel like there was a good mix of sessions, or do you feel like you don't know what happened at the sessions, or a mix?
I'm going to go with I don't know what happened at the sessions, but I was primarily working C4. That said, in my opinion, you guys can argue this, I felt like this was more party year than information year. I felt it anywhere where there was talks was just a little bit too chaotic and difficult. I didn't know about the session, too many sessions of content wise. I think the art scene had a good showing there. I think there was a lot of really good creative content, which was great to see. Nice to see that grow. And especially in the Ethereum community, I think that means a massive part of it. So that's nice to see. But as far as technical knowledge goes, I didn't get to experience it too much.
The cool thing is you can experience it online still.
Yeah.
Because I've watched a few of the talks I wanted to see and couldn't, it was hard to hear there, but I was surprised that the audio virtually was really good. The team doing it is great. So I guess I'm not surprised by that, but knowing how loud it was in the venues and how difficult it was to hear some of them, not all of the sessions, but some of the ones that I saw in the castle was hard to see or hear. So it's cool that it really did work if you want to watch them online. I've watched a couple, so yeah.
That's great.
Josh, do you want to talk about BTC 2016, 2019, and then how we're, in-kind sponsors with EthDenver?
Sure. So we at C4 we run a conference every so often called BTC, or the Blockchain Trading Conference, and our focus is specifically on training. We want to train professionals in all the information they need, be them accountants needing to understand how to deal with accounting issues in a blockchain company, be it investigators needing to understand how to use this technology in their investigations, or lawyers understanding, or programmers, et cetera, et cetera. We do a conference that's just training. If you're getting on our stage, you have to be teaching about something. So naturally, the inquisitive nature of the Ethereum Denver conference patrons, and just the passion for that space, and the fact that we had the 2019 conference in Denver, means there's always been a really nice overlap between our organizations, and they've kindly given us some space within their organization, and we certainly like to promote them through our conference as well. So
that was a good overview, and hopefully we'll do another conference soon. Now that we're getting to the place where we can do some of these events, I'm excited for us to start to talk about how we're going to do our next event. I think it's cool. There's definitely a place for EthDenver hackathon, more of a social piece to it, and then C4's conferences, which are more like the academic tracks. And so it's cool to see the space is so big now that there's room for a variety of different conferences and events, since there are so many people interested in different things. So I think it's pretty cool. What if we start a little bit with how it was getting there, traveling, getting the whole setup thing. So what does anyone have any thoughts on the process of getting there for anybody who didn't attend and might go in the future?
I can tell my story, because I arrived the Friday before, basically the first day of the first day of the hackathon, and I'm glad I did that, because I ended up spending quality time with some old friends before the main event, because it was almost impossible to have long conversations with old friends in the whole main event. I had really good conversation with new people. Some of them I have contact with, but some of them I lost. I even messaged on Telegram, hey, the guy I was talking to last night about this subject, can you message me? I still don't know who that person was, but we had a really good conversation. So, but to continue what Josh was saying, this was to me kind of remind me of DEFCON 3 and more party scene. Even though in DEFCON 3 there was a drop of population coming to the conference every day because they were like watching the talks from the bar. But here we didn't see that much of the drop, which was pretty interesting to me. Like 3 days of full time, and coming from 2 years of sitting at home, everything was overwhelming. Like people around, like just conversations, just seeing friends in the real life in front of you. It was like, whoa, what is happening? But it kind of helped. Now we can also touch on the next subject we have, which was like the event. Everyone was exposed to like COVID kind of thing. I myself got COVID after like 3 shots and everything, which in general sense maybe is a good thing for next events because everyone's immune now, at least the Ethereum side. But hopefully everyone else is fine. It took us 4 days to recover, still recovering, but it's worth it to me.
Today is actually the first day that I feel fully human, not even like fully normal, but I feel like myself today. I got pretty sick, just like feeling like cold and flu symptoms and like a lot of sinus issues. And I got tested with the rapid antigen, and then I did the PCR and it was negative. I thought maybe I do have COVID, but I didn't. But it seems like a lot of people did get sick, and I guess it's very hard to avoid when you just put thousands of people into a venue together. You know, despite all the precautions, having the pre-COVID test, something can always slip through. Cheyenne, are you fully recovered now? You feeling good?
I feel recovered, but it depends if how like the slope of the hill that I'm walking. Because if it feel like high, I would just stop, like have to stop and take deep breath. But overall, yeah, I think I'm ready to continue.
I didn't get sick, but I was so drained. I'm an introvert anyways, but 2 years of being, around just a few people, just suddenly being in, around hundreds to thousands of people, it was super, super fun. And I feel like it kind of got me back on the horse again. So I feel more comfortable going out and doing things now. So personally, that was a huge thing. And then also just being around people. Oh my God. I was for 5 days, it was a zombie. I'm like, don't talk to me. Don't look at me. I can't function. But now I also feel like a human, and it was totally worth it. I'm glad I went. And I'm glad I didn't get sick, but the emotional side, the exhaustion from it hit me pretty hard. So
one of my favorite parts were the juicy hugs. Like the hugs were so long and people didn't want to let go and they were hugging someone else. I'm like, oh wow, this 2 years of not touching anyone. It's like, oh, just say hi.
That's awesome. Cheyenne, I gotta ask, now you were one of the judges for the hackathon. What were some of the cool hackathon projects that you saw?
Yeah, they were really interesting one. It seems like people didn't necessarily realize that they need to build something. Some people just build a pitch of what the idea is. But also it comes from the whole idea. It was diverse crowd joining in. There were people that were not necessarily developers. They were learning a lot of things, which is a good thing. But also coming from a NFT project to hackathon or a DAO project to hackathon, this mind preparation of you need to set, build, and have a FOMO of parties is kind of hard one for a lot of people. But one of the projects I really liked was so I was on an impact track. I was what is the impact of that these projects, and one of them was proof of meditation. And the reason I liked it was so they made an interesting use of tokens and generative art. It was so you can use basically at every day of the month, you go pledge to 21 days of meditation, and you put some money in your smart contract. And for every day, it uses your Fitbit data or something similar, your data. Every time you're meditating, it creates kind of a generative art from your heartbeat rate as NFT. And if you have 21 of them end of the month, you can get your money back. Otherwise, the money goes to the pool to do some other things with this money as the DAO, meditation DAO. I find it interesting as the use of data coming from the Fitbit to generate the NFT. to create like a good behavioral like economics in that sense, as like you need to meditate 21 days, which kind of, I don't know if you want to meditate to get your money back, is that a good way of like being zen? But at the same time, I love how the creativity in there. That was one of the ones I saw. There were some other zero knowledge games that were also interesting.
Yeah, the hackathon's still going on, right? Like there's still, it goes through till when? Partway through March or something?
So I think the bounties mainly goes through March 20th, which is the first day of spring as well too, because it's like Iranian New Year. But I think the bounties go there. The hackathons, most of them are wrapped up at the end of the conference.
Okay, it's kind of cool. Like most conferences or events are like a weekend or, 5 days. But this is, I mean, Shane, you got there Friday and like that's when things started. And then I didn't arrive until like the following Wednesday, and I was still there for a lot of it. It's just cool that it's long enough that if the people are going, it's easier to find time to see people. Although still it's kind of like, hey, hi, bye.
Also, I don't think the organizers were ready for that, because the only place that was open was Art Hotel lobby, like upstairs, and it was packed. The first Friday I got there, which I thought no one's gonna be there, but it was packed there, and we couldn't really walk around. And it took them maybe till Wednesday, like the Wednesday after, to open up other venues, which then people kind of spread. But it was all the venues were packed, and we can talk about like there were like enough spaces, co-working spaces around for people to actually sit and work.
I mean, yeah, I agree. And I feel like one of the things that EthDenver did really well was like anticipating this. It's hard to, when you think about like, okay, there's a global pandemic that's been going on and there wasn't an in-person conference. So it's been 2 years. So then to do all of the planning and then to suddenly, I don't know, Kent, if they knew there was going to be this, great increase in numbers, maybe there was an inkling, but it seemed from what I've heard that it just more and more and more people wanted to go. And so it was more like, this is for the community. Let's accommodate the best way we can so that everyone who wants to go, it's a free event, can go. And so like, there are some downsides to that, right? Like, I was lost trying to find our venue at first, trying to figure out where to go, but actually it turned out cool because I ended up in a different space that was really neat. And so like there's definitely, I'm sure it was stressful for all of the organizers, and there are some, cons to it, but the other side of it is like to grow that quickly and to have like such an increase is, I think it's incredible. It says a lot for the space, and it says a lot for EthDenver to be able to do that. But Kent, have you talked to anyone else on the team about the like expected growth versus how?
I mean, I do know that there is a sense, and this is, I was not actively organizing this year, but there is definitely a sense that, okay, we're going to probably scale it bigger than we were during the prior in-person event in 2020. But I think the demand, having 20,000 people applying really actually exceeded expectations. But yeah, it's a testament to all the planning that we were able to scale, and all those other venues worked out really well. We had Temple, the nightclub converted into, providing a place for talks during the day, and then all the other ancillary spaces. And it just somehow all worked out, and the vibe was pretty good. It's a challenge sometimes when people have to wait in line in various contexts, whether for their COVID test or to get into the main sports castle. But yeah, it all worked. I think an interesting question though moving forward is like I would expect that this will continue to scale. I mean, yeah, this year people were just really excited to hang out in real life after maybe being locked down for 2 years, but this is only going to get bigger. One question somebody asked me during a panel during the hackathon is like, where do I see the kind of the crypto community in Colorado and the ecosystem in like 5 years? And one of my predictions is like, we're going to be holding this event at much bigger venues, like sporting venues, because it's only going to spread into the mainstream. And an interesting challenge is like, how do you keep that cool vibe that we've had since, the very early days, and scale it up? I think we're doing a good job so far. And from the very beginning, even with the meetup, it's always been a big tent sort of thing. Like this is a place where no matter who you are, what your background is, come hang out, let's talk about this fun stuff. And a very welcoming atmosphere, and that's been sort of carried over and expanded with EthDenver. It's a place you can just really be yourself, be creative, be artistic, be freaky. It's kind of got an underground counterculture vibe, and I'm so happy to see that. So I think moving forward, it's like, okay, and it is an organizational challenge for sure. But we love the sports castle. It's a magical place, unless you use the bathroom, then it can be challenging. But the building's 100 years old, but it works so well. And but at some point, things are going to get so big, we're going to have to consider new venues. So when that happens, I hope we can maintain this wonderful sense of, I don't know how to describe it. It's just that awesome crypto ETH vibe.
Yeah, the vibe, the culture. Yeah. And I think the sports castle has a lot to do with that. And maybe it can be, but it's what the sports castles become, right? If it was in just the buildings empty, then I don't think that vibe would exist, obviously. So I do think it's the people and the setup and like the art and all kind of like the cool things like the Zen room. There's just a lot happening. So I do think it's possible to transfer it for sure. But yeah, it's definitely something like the organizers will need to think about.
One thing also, just realized my name is not right here. One thing I noticed was like, even we were at this venue and like the whole took over the whole part of the town and Denver, but I was at the brunch and the waiter started talking to us about like crypto, and his thing was helium and like modems to like mine. It was fascinating that I had really good conversation with him about this, and he wasn't not a crypto person, he was just passing by. And one other conversation I had was with we got an Uber, and the driver was talking about like all these crypto people around, what's happening. And he was like, I'm not really, like, I feel old, I'm 25, but I feel old in the space. I only got some Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I'm not touching any new things. I'm like, that's perfect. Like, you actually like, that is good already. You're in. You don't have to like have more coins missing. But the whole idea, like, even the event was happening, but surrounding it, there's so many people involved and what not coming to Denver, which just shows how Denver is exposed to this idea like early on, and a lot of people have heard about it from like their neighbors. And it was fascinating just to see how the growth is happening. Even we're not measuring that growth, we just see the people that participate in Denver. We're not seeing every other person is also somehow involved in their own kind.
It'll be interesting to see if that's similar. I think Denver is very receptive to crypto, and people here maybe get it more than other places. But like, let's say, assuming there's ETHCC in Paris this July, like, will we encounter Parisians that maybe are more crypto savvy, or when we go down to Bogota for DevCon, will there be that sort of thing? Hopefully it's really spreading, but I guess time will tell.
Yeah, one of the other things that I think was interesting about the difference in year to year is that this year was the Dow Explosion. So lots of DAOs, a lot of people either already contributing to a DAO or want to contribute to a DAO. There were a lot of talks about how to DAO. Did anyone hear anything, like see any of those or hear about any of it? Oh, you're muted, Josh.
If I'm not mistaken, this is also the first EthDenver that was organized by the EthDenver DAO. Is that correct?
Yes. So there's Spork DAO, which is kind of like EthDenver in DAO form, and it was happening with. It gets a little complex because there's kind of these,
How's DAOs do?
Yeah, exactly. It gets complex, but yeah, Spork DAO is kind of what EthDenver became in DAO form.
Yeah, I think one of the more interesting kind of patterns I saw was I met at least more than a single person, at least a handful of people who were very new to the space, were excited to learn more, but didn't maybe had weeks or months of experience in the space. And when asked okay, well, what brought you here? What was the catalyst to getting into it? To be in crypto, for a couple of weeks, there's probably something top of mind that happened. And usually the answer over the last week was, oh, well, my company is becoming a DAO, so I have to figure this out. So it's really interesting that just like a lot of normal people are being, kind of unceremoniously thrown at this technology, and they just have to figure it out because, the people who run their business have decided that it's best as a DAO. And, for the most, I was, and I'm sure this is a bit of a confirmation bias, because the people who weren't excited about such a plan probably wouldn't have gone to EthDenver. But it was nice to see people who, are having their life change dramatically because the company they work for is doing something extremely different. But they're coming into it with excitement, curiosity, and an open mind as to how it can, improve what they do and improve what their business does. So that was really, really interesting to see for me. I've never, normally someone getting into cryptos because they, kind of fell down the rabbit hole themselves, but now suddenly it's like, oh, their livelihood is just suddenly dependent on it, which is scary in a way. But I'm glad I'm glad that they were excited, because it is exciting. It can be great, but it can also be. I can understand people being very scared too.
So Josh, were these people from, like, was their project in crypto initially, or are these people that they were working for a completely non-crypto company, but their company is becoming a DAO now?
A lot of it was just non-crypto companies just becoming a DAO.
Wow.
Yeah. So
one thing I noticed about the whole Dow explosion is it's really good. We're seeing this many people in, but also a lot of them are so new that they even didn't know the fundamental of this whole space. One of the questions we were asking, a lot of people that were like there for either DAO or NFT projects, we were saying like, how decentral is your project, or how is decentralization? Like, what is the definition of decentralization within your group? And a common reply was like, well, it's a DAO. So it's decentralized autonomous organization. And that is, to me, as coming from like more of a decentral ideology, like security background, it's kind of scary for me to like just assume everything's decentral because it's in the name. It's something that I want to like work with a lot of other teams that call themselves DAO or new DAOs to figure out or map out their structure to see if it is actually decentral or not. There are some projects like MetaGov, which I talked to their team. Like this was fascinating research because they're trying to like find these criteria, these properties of like how you can evaluate DAOs in the sense of like how decentral they are, what systems they're using, like are they close to LLC or closest to like a smart contract coordination game, kind of like that, which I see a lot of them coming up soon. And I'm excited because that's one of the things needed in this space. We can't just say DAO it and just fork another DAO and use it. We need to know how the social structure and the system is. And one thing you said, Ken mentioned Spark DAO. I just want to like shout out to the swag team that created that, because we got these forks, which is like a spoon fork, kind of the logo. And at first I was like, what would I need this? And in the 4 days that we were in a hotel recovering from COVID, we used that as spoon, as fork, as knife. We cut like lime and then stirred our tea with like ginger and lime. Like it was everything. It was like so good. Shout out to the personal team that created that. It was really good.
That's awesome.
Let's talk about swag. I mean, that's like one of the fun things, right? Is you leave with cool stuff. Did anyone get anything good? I mean, the spork made me laugh. Like right when I saw it, I was like, okay, this is hilarious. And I'm glad it became useful, but also it's like kind of cool looking. It's iridescent. It's got all these colors to it. But at first I was like, oh, Spork DAO, got it. But did you guys get anything cool?
Always stickers. You can count on EthDenver to get like a solid selection of stickers from a bunch of projects. Especially, there's been a lot of like crazy new, super cool DeFi projects that have come up over the last couple of years, or at least matured into something useful over the last couple of years. And then suddenly, like their stickers sitting on a table somewhere, and it's like, oh, I use that. Sweet. I'd love to have that sticker. So I think
Kent?
let's see here. I've only got I've got two in front of me, and then I've got my own sticker. Of course, we handed out some Struck stickers. Very
Yeah,
cool.
I got one of those. You can't see it,
Excellent.
it's on the back of my computer.
An upcoming NFT project of a friend, Fungicorns. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
Gosh, I love the pixel art 8-bit vibe on those on that
My
Ninja art.
Strucks. Thank
Yeah,
you.
they're cool.
And then Strange Clans, which is actually another game in the Cosmos space, which is another thing. A lot of the EthDenver people, are also just excited about the blockchain ecosystem. Obviously, they love Ethereum, but they're open-minded to what's going on in the rest of the space and interested in hearing things. So that was nice as well. So that was my main swag. Is mostly stickers.
Wait, can I jump in? Where's your Doge sticker? Remember we were joking around, like we were at a restaurant and people kept wanting the Doge sticker. So we were joking that it's become a form of currency. We like tip the waiters with it. People like people wanted these stickers. They were coming up and being like, could I? And like, I don't know, it's funny.
Yeah, and there was a
Doge Lambo. That's where these came from, is the Doge Lambo. Yeah.
I managed to acquire adorable little stuffed bufficorn, although he's in a different room right now. But I also got, I don't know, like the EthDenver swag game is always so on point. Like even, I don't even play poker. I'm not a cards guy, but I grabbed these because this like pack of playing cards. It's so pro. It looks cool. Limited edition playing cards. It kind of feels like a collector's item. We've been fortunate at EthDenver to always have like a really good visual brand. There's one guy in particular that actually is responsible for like creating the visuals of the bufficorn, and that kind of carries over into other visual elements. I don't think there's anything else quite like it in crypto, like in terms of the event space. DevCon certainly doesn't have that brand unto itself, and I can't think of any other specific crypto events.
The Satoshi Roundtable has a really cool comic vibe to it. Everything is like themed like a comic book, and it feels very grand and adventurous. That's the closest thing to it. Ethereum Denver is still very unique. It's a little bit more fantasy world, yet somehow we live in it.
So if you manage to score an invite to Satoshi, you can partake in the comic book vibe.
Yeah. Very important.
I just want to say a friend of mine made this wordplay called it Buffycron, which was really good, and to the point about Omicron and Buffycorn, which was like the main thing. For the swag, there were like so many nice things. I liked, so there's a project called Cow Swap. I like their interface and everything, and they had really cool swag. They had like, I'm into gadgets and like mainly travel gadgets, and they had this like a round thing that had all kind of SIM cards and cables and everything you need for like phone in ever in traveling. Even like you could turn out and be like a base, you can hold your phone. I'm gonna like admit, and I think I got 2 of them.
I was gonna
like,
say, you and I
want
were
one with
together.
Dad. Yeah.
You and I were together for that. And we were both like, so how many of these do you have?
Yeah, because at first I was like, what is this? Like I was kind of judging all this swag, and then when I saw it, I want more. So yeah, and they had hats, and it was a really good thing, especially like just I was tired of my crypto t-shirts wearing at home all the time, so now I can just go through a whole new wardrobe about that. So
are crypto shirts the new like 1990s band t-shirt?
Yeah, for sure they are. I was wearing a DevCon t-shirt, and everyone was passing. Was oh wow, isn't it like a Japan DevCon t-shirt? And I'm like, oh, that's one. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure.
So Kent, you talked about getting a bufficorn stuffed animal. Do you want to explain what the bufficorn is for anyone who doesn't know, and who dressed up in the bufficorn mascot suit this year? Do you know about that?
Oh, so yeah, the bufficorn, dates back to like the very first year we did this. We wanted like a cool mascot, and we came up with this crazy thing. He's a bufficorn, or it's buffalo combined with a unicorn, and he's we really wanted something that sort of brought in that wonderful fun ETH vibe, which is often personified by unicorns. but combine it with like Colorado, here in Colorado, we have buffaloes. Buffaloes are a symbol of the West. The University, Colorado is the mascot is buffaloes. So that was like a good fit. This year we had a special guest as the Bufficorn. I was up in the sort of admin organizers area watching this about to happen, but I walk in there and here's Vitalik wearing the Bufficorn suit. He's about to put the hat on, and I said, Vitalik, are you ready to wear that suit? And he just kind of he's serious. He said, He's like, he had his game face on. So that was a fun surprise for everybody when Vitalik jumped up on stage wearing the suit. And it's just like, I think it really speaks to like the fun of this event. It's just it's like the antithesis of cheesy corporate conventions. It's fun, it's irreverent, you just do whatever you want and have fun. And the Bufficorn certainly personifies that. And one thing we didn't anticipate when we first rolled him out is like how much people just love that. The Bufficorn runs around during the conference and maybe at other venues, and people just want to take their picture with him. And in hindsight, it was a really smart decision to have that element to the hackathon. It makes it more fun and more relatable, I think.
It's awesome to think of, a bunch of people just happily getting their picture taken with the Bufficorn and then having no idea of who's actually underneath that. Like, how many people probably just got their picture taken with the event mascot, not realizing that they were standing beside Vitalik, of all people, and that's who's actually in that shot. And now they have, this picture that they're probably trying to convince people of, like, no, I got my picture taken with Vitalik. Like, oh, so I met him. Like, when they show the picture, it's like, that's not Vitalik, that's an animal.
I swear Vitalik was in there.
I swear.
Yeah.
And it must be nice for him to kind of get to experience the event from a different point of view as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm curious, guys, just to flip the script here. So having come to this event, I think Cheyenne, it was just, you've been to EthDenver before too, as well, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Okay.
Like, started COVID with EthDenver.
So you guys this was not your first time, your first rodeo. But is there anything that you would change or do different? Is there anything you'd like to see improved or modified for next year?
I'm gonna let Jessica say, as I think I'm gonna take her idea if I start talking.
No, go for it. You are going to, because we talked about it. So take our idea and run with it.
As C4, as the blockchain training conference, our thing is education, be it advanced education or education at very fundamental levels. I think Ethereum Denver is an incredible event, but I think there needs to be more fundamentals taught. If it can be hands-on, or if it can be just talks at a really kind of introductory, but not even necessarily like easy introductory, just good content. Basically, we need an area of that event dedicated to just education and helping people get kind of started in the space, especially with all the new people in the space this year. I think improving the ability to get that fundamental knowledge and get that education content would be a really big improvement to Ethereum Denver, but I might be biased.
Well, no, I've talked to a few people who said that they thought that would be an interesting idea, or somebody brought it up to me. Like, somebody said to me, it'd be nice to have one place where all of the intro stuff is taking place, so you're not running around from place to place. Maybe it was, and this person didn't know. I don't remember. I didn't check the schedule. I mean, there's so many things. It's hard to keep track, but it'd be cool to have like there was a blockchain 101 hub. That's where we were. And we did have newbies coming in and asking questions, and we were sharing info, giving out free coupon codes for the CEP. But yeah, there was no place that you could just go and sit and be like, okay, my company's becoming a DAO. What's a DAO? What is Ethereum? How did crypto start? Like, what what are all these NFTs that are going on, like, and kind of walk you through it. It'd be nice to do that like the first day, maybe, like if people want to get, you know, maybe like a Thursday, Friday type thing. And then it'd be even cool. I mean, I'm biased, but it'd be cool to have a C4 tracks about ETH, and that actually prepares people to take the exam at the end of it, because we did give coupon codes out. Hundreds of people have redeemed them, but we don't have study materials yet. Blame me for that. But we could have these sessions where people are specifically teaching about Ethereum, or even like anything else related to the space, or a lot of other people there are interested or doing projects with other blockchains. So it's not really just, you know, in Ethereum space anymore. It's grown up. But anyways, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. So kind of like more content geared towards the fundamentals, towards beginners, and maybe structured in a way that's easier for them to find. I think that's really smart and crucial moving forward, because as more people get into this, it's something we never really pondered in the earlier days with EthDenver, but because it was more designed as like, okay, this is for people that are into crypto primarily. But now, and kind of to your point, your story, Josh, about like people from a something that's about to be a DAO, they have no idea what it is. EthDenver very well could be their first like real touch point for crypto, or maybe that's how they're choosing to learn. So to have a beginner's track where it's like, okay, obviously we're having fun here, but kind of here's what's going on, and really help them onboard into the environment. And I imagine it must be intimidating for some people going in there, and it's like, maybe you don't even really know what an NFT is, and maybe it's just like, holy shit, now you're surrounded by, you know, people running around in unicorn capes, and like there's all these booths, but you don't know what these projects are, and there's these sessions, and they might as well be talking about, like, they might as well be speaking, you know, some ancient language that nobody knows. It's all confusing and overwhelming. So to really have a structured track and a structured environment for that, and of course, that's one of C4's core competencies. That's a really good idea.
Maybe it's, you know, maybe there's an in-between that even, you know, more fits the kind of EthDenver feel. You know, maybe if we just have, you know, some, like, there's for the hackathon people, there's the gaggle of experts that you can kind of call on to be like, hey, you know, I need to talk through this one issue. If you're in the hackathon, you can go to this one area, and there's some experts that you can bounce some ideas off of, or get some input on what you're doing. Maybe we need the other side of that, and we just need, like, you know, some people in lab coats, or some wizards throughout the conference, just kind of like standing around in strategic areas where, you know, if I'm a new patron and I'm talking to someone at a vendor booth, and they're trying to explain something to me, maybe I just need someone who I can turn around to and be like, excuse me, wizard, can you explain what the hell this person just said to me in logical terms, and just be there to have like the intro people standing around, like, hey, got an Ethereum question right now because something doesn't make sense to you. Now,
I love that idea, and you're
right
definitely wearing the cape next. I'm getting you a C4 cape. Like, this is now happening. Congratulations, wizard.
Yeah, and
Perfect.
I think just to say, like, I think it was like good amount of events, like as Ken was saying, or I think Josh was saying, well, like the mentors and the hackathon. So I was mentoring on the last Friday, and there were like so many people coming asking questions, but a lot of others didn't know about this whole mentors, because we had on mentors channel on Discord, we had like a whole table, which there were a lot of people there answering questions. But also there was like blockchain 101, which C4 was sitting, and for good or bad, it was a good place to like come sit and quiet. Like, it was a quiet place to sit. So I like that for myself, but I mean, and maybe it wasn't like a well advertised. I think maybe on the map next time there can be just a table as like, are you new to this space? These are like the continuation spaces that like go ask questions. Because I feel like even blockchain 101, like I didn't hear it from anyone but our group that we were like coordinating around it. So something like that, but I love the cape idea that I like to have around the space, like similar to the badges that are just like mentors or other contributors. You can be just ask me anything, kind of like question, like, but I like the clothing. or
Yeah,
hacks.
something
It
for
could be hacks.
yeah. It can be so. It can be something for new people to come and ask any questions that they want and not feel silly. Absolutely, anything is okay. And then for for the people that have been around a while, maybe there's an element of stump that person and win a prize or something like that too. So we can kind of fish on both
That's
sides
a
of that.
dangerous one, but yeah.
I mean, it can't be that hard to stump me. So
But yeah, we should talk about doing something like that, having, I mean, all of those ideas I think would be great, and definitely something C4 would be able
like
to do.
having the side is great. Like we'll make sure an area is accepting and open, but sometimes just in the moment you just like have that weird question, and I think maybe giving people that ability to not leave the context of the chaos but still get that immediate answer that they might need might be somewhat helpful.
I think that's a good idea.
Now, one thing, C4, as just mentioned, we handed out free certified Ethereum professional exams. Now, the certified Ethereum professional, the last time we were at EthDenver, didn't exist. So we were obviously very excited that we actually had an Ethereum certification this time to talk about at Ethereum Denver. So our goal was to actually give out a free certification to everyone, be it the 8,000, the 20,000, whoever was supposed to be at Ethereum Denver, we wanted to give a free certification for. Now, I would say if you're watching this and you're upset because you didn't get your free certification, I think what you should do is maybe take a picture of some of your swag that you got from EthDenver, reply to us on Twitter or whatever. Just send us a picture of your sick swag, and we'll send you that free certification coupon so you can take the exam as well.
That is a great idea. We'll tweet about that too. Very cool idea, Josh.
Because I still want to fulfill that promise. If you're at EthDenver and you want your free certified Ethereum professional exam, I want you to have it as well. We managed to give out like 250 or something like that. Like actually,
100. No, way more than that. Yeah,
that's excellent. So
I think we've had over like 300 people redeem them already, maybe more.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So we got plenty more to give out. Please let us know if that's something you want. If you're at EthDenver, maybe you're only at EthDenver virtually and you feel you deserve it too. I think we're more than happy to share the love on this. So just reach out to us, and we'll hopefully get you in there to give it a try. I will say, a lot of people have redeemed it and given it a try. It turns out the Ethereum exam is still difficult. So maybe do a bit of studying, but it's up to you.
Use the study guide, study. But yeah, I mean, it is a harder exam. It's a good exam. It's pretty cool to think about when we first started this committee, and then when we were hoping or starting to talk about, creating the exam, what that would look like, to then actually building it, to now being here, where we're like, we were at EthDenver and able to give away coupon codes. Because on the surface, it's like, yeah, we created an exam. But when you think about it, like there are hundreds of questions that like collectively you all had to go through, agree on, go through the answers, make changes to, and make sure that it all pulled together and that there was information from all of the different topics that it's important to know to prove that you actually understand it. So it's fun now to be like, oh yeah, we have an exam. But then when I think back, it's like, holy crap, we did a lot of work to get there. And I think it's a really, really good exam. And we'll keep updating it, obviously, but it's pretty impressive.
And just a reality check for the committee, we have to change a lot of questions by EthDenver next year. So be ready for a lot more work coming up.
Well, luckily we all geek out about this. So it's work, but it's fun work. So that's nice. Okay, so let's just talk about one more thing before we go. And since Josh, you brought up how there were parties, there were a lot of parties. Did anyone have a favorite party or any party stories that kind of encapsulate some of what EthDenver is about?
Yeah, I have like, so we did one with consensus diligence team at New Wolf, and that place is trippy. Like I really suggest like people spending 2-3 hours, especially team building, because like we lost everyone just as soon as we got in, and in these crazy rooms we would just run into like friends, and we like, what are you doing here? And like it was a really good experience to be there. And just one story, the last night we were partying at this place called Church, which is a church, and they had like different rooms with like headphone, kind of like quiet, like silence DJs. And we were arguing, should we go to the temple now or later? Like that's the whole idea that like we are at church and we are going to go to temple. Like using these words and places for us was kind of like a spiritual experience as well. It was a fun one. Yeah. And I missed the shapeshift party, which we were supposed to do, but because of like no one can realize why, because of snow and buses getting stuck in snow. That was an interesting night as well.
It was fun. That's the party that first comes to my mind. Well, I'm also not exactly a party animal, so I didn't go to that many, but Shapeshift was super cool. Like going to the bus, being on the bus, and then the bus got stuck in the snow, and then like somebody had to come and drag the bus out, and then there was like, oh, are we going to be stuck here? Josh wore slippers to it. I got to see Kent DJ. There was somebody randomly swimming in the pool. I don't know if people got in later, but I just like, I don't know if I was talking to you, Josh, or Michael, but I looked over and I was like, somebody was just like alone swimming in the indoor pool. And I was like, oh, okay.
I was the one in the pool.
Not at that point. I missed that.
It was probably me. I don't know if a lot of people were in the pool. But yeah, there was definitely, the snow started pretty much at like the worst possible time. and the person who pulled the bus out of the snowbank was actually the old CFO of Shapeshift. So burning the midnight oil there. Luckily, he had a very large truck. He had a fun night pulling various people.
He was the hero of the night. The hero I guess we deserved.
He was. Now that Shapeshift party was a lot of fun. You kind of alluded there was a special dinner right beforehand, though, that was for Coin Center. And Coin Center, if you're not familiar with Coin Center, is basically just trying to save at least everyone in the US from litigious destruction of our ability to use these both in our personal lives and in our businesses. So Coin Center is pretty much at the forefront of making sure stupid laws don't get passed in America, and thus, kind of hinder the world in only ways that America can do.
That was a definite highlight for me. Just to be able to have Jerry Brito and Niraj out. You see these guys on Twitter, and they're always so informative and helpful and keeping you apprised of the latest and greatest. I don't want to say greatest because nothing in DC is great, but helping really fight that fight out there and educate and inform regulators and legislators who are often misinformed and have misconceptions. It was really cool to have them out and talk to them one-on-one. And we raised 33 ETH for them. So at current prices, it's like 6 figs. And just kind of learn more about their plans. So that was a highlight. It was a little bit challenging getting those attendees out. It was starting, like Josh said, the snow started at the worst possible time. There was no snow in the forecast, but the weather gods were messing with us that night. That was the one night that we had snow, and it was slick. It was
a lot of snow.
Yeah, it was.
And the party was in the mountains too. So if you weren't familiar with this, the party wasn't downtown Denver. The party was actually in a neighboring community in the mountains. So it was a beautiful place for a snowfall, but a little bit of an adventure to get to and from. I think by the end of the night, now keep in mind, I DJ'd that party from 1 a.m. to 4:30. So I was on the clock at one point. After I was done DJing, I did find some random Australians sitting lying in the corner, clutching some towels as they were trying to sleep because they just couldn't leave at that point. They certainly weren't getting an Uber. We managed to find them a bed with some blankets. They really just didn't try hard enough. But it was certainly an interesting party in which most people managed to get home safe. Some people were a little bit stranded for a bit. But then there was some breakfast burritos and things that showed up, and a large quantity of coffee. And by the time the morning came, everyone was ready for a nap or EthDenver. I'm not sure which one they went for. I had a nap.
Josh, aka Abstract, that's his DJ name. You provided the highlight of the evening for me, because by 3 o'clock I was like finally relaxing more after all the bus drama, and I was, I was having some drinks, and if you haven't seen Abstract DJ, he's awesome. Laid down this like mix of like the Police walking on the moon. It was just like, oh yeah, that was it. Highlight of the night.
Yeah.
I'm so bummed I didn't get to see you, Josh, but I can't stay up that late. I'm an old lady. I was in bed well before you went on. But it is cool when, like, I feel like the Shapeshift party, I mean, it was a lot of people volunteered to help with it. And like with everything that was going on, like that is out of the party planner's control, it was still really well done. And the Coin Center dinner that we started talking to this about is, I think it's important to just say Coin Center, donate, look up what they do. It's coincenter.org, and they're the leading nonprofit focused on the policy issues facing cryptocurrencies. I just pulled that from their website. That is what they say they do, and it is what they do. And so if you don't know about them, highly recommend looking into the important work that they're doing, and we're grateful that they are doing that. Any closing remarks? Apparently we're the Olympics. Any other thoughts or things that anybody wants to talk about?
I hope everyone has successfully healed up from various sicknesses and maybe had a couple naps. I still feel exhausted from the event, but it was certainly worth it, and we look forward to next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely looking forward to next year.
Yeah, for me, this was like basically the start of the season to go back to these events and see friends. Because I was talking to some of my older friends in the space, and we were like, oh, wait, for a year and a half, we were seeing each other once a month in different places, and then 2 years not seeing each other. So for me, it's like the beginning of a lot more conferences to come. And I'm excited about this. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I too was utterly exhausted after everything, but it was like, minus the sickness part, like it was a very content sort of like, oh my God, that was like just a whirlwind. Everything about the event just, generally went really well. Logistically, I mean, talked to so many great people. My only regret is actually not being able to chat with you, Cheyenne, and very briefly seeing you guys. I wish we would have had more time to hang out, but like everything is coming together. Like, just one last thing that was really cool is like, at the state level, Colorado, I've always thought could be a fertile ground for building crypto projects and companies. And we're fortunate to have a very pro-crypto governor, Jared Polis. He stopped by. Andrew Yang stopped by. Of course, he ran for mayor in New York, and previously ran as an anti-establishment candidate on the Democratic side. He was really cool, chatting with him, and he gets it. He gets the power of crypto to improve the world in general, but specifically improve, say disadvantaged neighborhoods and make things better for, like minorities who have typically struggled to take advantage of like, kind of the society that provides people with more opportunities who maybe were just, born in a better situation or whatever. It's giving them a leg up. So people, he recognizes that, and like all sorts of interesting discussions along those lines. So yeah, if the one feeling I was left with, other than contentment, is just optimism. Like, wow, this shit is really going to change the world. It's coming, and it's a little bit surreal, but it's awesome.
And you could feel that, I think, like at the 1134 Broadway, which is where we were, the security guard who was there, his name was Larry. Shout out to Larry. He was awesome. His daughter works with him, and she actually, and I started to talk just briefly, and then she was working, and so we couldn't really talk, but she didn't know much about crypto and just was there because of her work. And then, we got each other's info, and now she's learning about it. So it's like it spreads to everyone who's around there because of the environment. And you see people who are trying to educated, like you see, you know, the governor there, and you see like, okay, so this is something I didn't notice or know about, and now suddenly it's become something that people want to know about.
Yep, it's a big contrast to even, you know, the last in-person in 2020. It's like, you know, well, for one thing, we're kind of like, you know, it's still in a bear market, and it was like it felt like more of a niche, and certainly nothing that had really spread and grown. But that 1 year off, it's like, wow, we come back and it's like, poof.
Yeah. So
I mean, it was quite the year to be off too, in terms of crypto as well. So there's, you know, a lot of excitement certainly during that.
There is an interesting theory, and I think there was some truth to it, that the lockdown was actually really good for building crypto projects, because we all stopped running around and going to conferences, and we actually did some work instead. It's not entirely false.
Not entirely incorrect. That's no, that makes a lot of sense. As Cheyenne says, you were seeing everyone once a month, and that wasn't like, oh, we're going to the local pub once a month to see people. He means he was traveling to a different country every month to go see the exact same people somewhere else. So yeah, I can see why sitting around on your butt and maybe getting some work done would be a little productive as well. Now, hopefully, maybe we find a balance on how to move forward where we still get to see people we like, while being productive too. Probably not.
Note. Bye. Hey, wait, leave it at that.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you guys for joining. This was fun to kind of rehash and to catch up afterwards. And I hope it was helpful for those who either attended and wanted to hear about other people's experiences, or those who didn't attend who would consider going next year, which we recommend. And so thank you guys. Appreciate you joining.
Thank you. Great seeing you.
We're already excited for next year. See you guys there.
Yes. All right. Bye.